Hi, friend. I just want to thank you for being here and being a part of this journey as we walk with Jesus to the cross. And I want to recognize this is not easy. It is not an easy study. It's not an easy journey. What Jesus did is really just superhuman. He is the Son of God. But he was treated in such a brutal manner, and we really bump into that brutality this week. So I know it's not easy. I even wondered if I would make videos this week. But here I am today. I'd like for us to look at this, look at the passages and see, okay, what is it we learn about Jesus? Who is he? And what do we learn about his heart and mind? So with that, let's go ahead and read today's passage, and we'll seek to better know, better understand, better enjoy Jesus, our Savior. All right, we're at Luke chapter 22, starting at verse 63. Now the men who were holding Jesus in custody were mocking him as they beat him. They also blindfolded him and kept asking him, "Prophesy, who is it that struck you?" And they said many other things against him, blaspheming him. When day came, the assembly of the elders of the people gathered together, both chief priests and scribes, and they led him away to their council. And they said, "If you are the Christ, tell us." But he said to them, "If I tell you, you will not believe. And if I ask you, you will not answer. But from now on, the Son of Man shall be seated at the right hand of the power of God." So they all said, "Are you the Son of God? Are you the Son of God then?" And he said to them, "You say that I am." Then they said, "What further testimony do we need? We have heard it ourselves from his own lips." All right. Well, we could spend all day on this passage, and I'm just going to share with you what stood out to me today. And I went through the who, when, where, what kinds of questions, even asking why and how. And that led me to a little window into the heart of Jesus. I also put a number of keywords, or what felt like keywords to me, in my keyword column, and defined those and looked at some cross references, which that was helpful as well. So the who do we have? Well, obviously we have Jesus himself, and then we have the temple officers in the beginning of this passage, and we also have the Jewish council. These are the elders, the scribes, the chief priests, and the high priest is the one who would preside over this council meeting. When is this taking place? Well, the beating and the mocking take place before daytime, right? Before daylight. And, I was just thinking about, wow, it's nighttime when Jesus is going through this. And it is just as Jesus said last week. How did he say that? But this is your hour and the power of darkness. It is such an evil hour. Oh, I didn't want to do this. I don't want to cry. But Jesus is treated with such evil and brutal intent here. Okay, so that was answering the when. I'm kind of getting off track. Where are they? They are at this council meeting, perhaps at or near the high priest's house. All right, so what takes place? Well, first of all, in this first paragraph, we see that Jesus is beaten and mocked by the officers of the Jewish temple. And I just wondered, I mean, this is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. They are both beating him with their hands. To beat actually means to beat up. So this is a real beating. It is very physical. It is also emotional and mental. They are mocking him. And, aside from recognizing the suffering that Jesus goes through, the beating that he goes through, I think it's just important for us to recognize, okay, yes, he's going through physical beating, emotional beating, a mental beating. It's all awful. I don't think one is worse than the other. It's all awful. But I wanted to understand, what is it about the hearts here? What do we see about the hearts of the officers of the temple, or these temple guards? Friends, I just wrote unbelief next to this paragraph. Truly, unbelief reigns here. No one is believing in Jesus. They are mocking him. To mock means to make sport, to subject to laughter or ridicule for one's own pleasure. All right, it's ugly. It's evil. And we see Jesus receiving this beating and mocking in all of the gospel accounts. Account for this. So Jesus clearly, his suffering begins here, begins at this evil hour in the darkness of night. But then in verse 66, if we answer that when question, it is daybreak now, and Jesus is led away to a different place. He's led away to this council meeting. And we need to understand who the council is. The council, here's what my Bible dictionary says, is called the Sanhedrin. It's a group that served as the judicial authority for the Jews. All right, here's the legal authority for all of the Jews. And we see this council is made up of both the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people. That's how Luke says it. The elders of the people gathered together. And we know that the high priest would have presided over this meeting. So what happens here after such a beating? And I think we need to try to keep in mind at this point, Jesus is sorely beaten up. He is wounded. He is a suffering Lamb of God here. He is led away to this meeting, and where he's basically interrogated by the council. And before we talk about this interrogation and their big question, let's just remember what day this is. Friends, we've talked about this. This is a day of the Passover feast. This is the biggest celebration of the Jews. And it's just surprising to me, it's shocking to me that they would have this kind of a meeting the morning of this, really what is the final day of the Passover feast, and where they should be with family, where they should be leading the people and celebrating God and remembering who God is. They are gathering together with evil intent here. And we need to recognize that there is evil intent. We'll get to that with another question, with the how question. Okay, so remembering that this is the feast day, they're gathering together in this council meeting, and their big question for Jesus is in verse 67. If you are the Christ, Christ meaning Messiah, the anointed one, the long-awaited king, the one the Jews have been looking for and waiting for since King David, the one sent to redeem the world. Are you the Christ? That's what they want to know. If you are the Christ, tell us. You must tell us. All right, so that is their big question. Now, let's understand why. Why are they asking this question? Well, friends, we have seen throughout our study, their hearts are hard against Jesus. There is no belief. There is only unbelief. And they are seeking a way to kill Jesus. So they have evil intent here. They seek to trap Jesus in order to kill him. Within this meeting, there is strong and I would say even evil opposition to Jesus. So just trying to help us to read the room here. They're not really open to a positive answer. All right. So now we can ask, how did Jesus respond? How does he respond? Oh, it just struck me that Jesus, who is perfect in grace and truth, responds with grace and truth. All right. Where do we see that? Here's his response. He just says, look, this is the truth. If I tell you, you will not believe. I mean, that piece really jumped out to me, and I highlighted that. If I tell you, you will not believe. That's it. It's so matter of fact. It's so true. And it reminds me of John speaking in his prologue to his gospel, John 1:14. And the word became flesh and dwelt among us. And John said, we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. All right. So Jesus answered in truth, but he also answers in grace. If I tell you, you will not believe. What is Jesus's heart here? Friends, Jesus still wants them to believe. He wants them to believe. He speaks the truth, but he speaks with grace. Somehow he wants them to believe. All right, so Jesus speaks the truth. You will not believe. He speaks grace. He's giving them one more opportunity to step back and consider, could this be the Son of God? After all, who else could perform such miracles and speak in the way that Jesus does? The cross reference here, friends, is John 10, verses 24 and 25. So the Jews gathered around him and said to him, how long will you keep us in suspense? If you are the Christ, tell us plainly. Jesus answered them, I told you, and you did not believe. You do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name bear witness about me. So we talked about this at the beginning of our study, although we haven't traveled all the way through Luke's gospel to see Jesus performing miracle after miracle, healing after healing. We talked about it, that this great crowd entered into Jerusalem with Jesus. They were rejoicing. They were praising God because some of them had seen Jesus give sight to the blind man. Some of them had seen Jesus raise a dead man to life. Who else could do this but God? And so many were believing in Jesus, but not in this room. Not in this room. Their hearts are hardened. Friends, how do we know? By their response. By their response. Where did I jot this down? We just see them respond with such unbelief. Jesus, in his grace, in his care for the heart, gives them one more opportunity to just reconsider their stance on who he is. And so he says, if I tell you, you will not believe. And if I ask you, you will not answer. That's true. That's also an extension of grace. Here's one more opportunity to understand. And then Jesus goes on and speaks very clearly. But from now on, the Son of Man shall be seated at the right hand of the power of God. That word power jumped out to me for some reason. It is dynamis. It is the word we get dynamite from. Possession of controlling influence, often understood as manifesting influence over reality in a supernatural manner. Oh, Jesus sees the spiritual battle and he peels back. We've talked about him peeling back the window that he might give others a peek into the spiritual battle going on. And he does that here in this council meeting. Friends, Jesus cares about the heart, but what do we see? Their hearts are hardened. Their hearts are callous. All we have to do is look at their response. So they all said, "Are you the Son of God then?" And he said to them, "You say that I am." Then they said, "What further testimony do we need? We have heard it ourselves from his own lips." So I marked that first paragraph, unbelief. I marked the second paragraph, unbelief. Unbelief that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, the Messiah, the long-awaited King. Friends, what struck me about Jesus? What is it we learn about Jesus? Well, we see, as we talked about last week, his mind is made up. He will finish the work that he came to do. He stood here. He took it. He took the beating. He took the mocking. He will finish. He will finish the work that he came to do. And he will see that God's will be done here on earth as it is in heaven. We see Jesus willing to suffer to complete that mission. And we see Jesus's heart of both grace and truth. The truth, his light shines in truth here. He speaks truth. And when Jesus speaks, we've already learned that it is so. Jesus speaks truth, but he also speaks it with grace. His heart is that every single person in this room would believe that, yes, he is the Christ, the Son of God. That is Jesus's heart, full of truth, full of grace. Oh, friends, let us ponder that. And, how I applied it today is just to ask and to pray, Lord, search me and know me. Where is my heart hardened to you and to your power? Where am I not believing? And there's just this imperative that we must believe. We must trust in the Son of God, that he is who he says he is. We must trust him. We must believe, and we must surrender our unbelief.